Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's Marko here with CoatingLaunch, and I am super honored to be alongside Lawrence with Performance Floors. And today we're going to be talking about the seven-figure sales system that can help grow your concrete coating business this year. Lawrence, how you doing today?
Good, man. Thank you for having me here, Marco. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, super excited. And for those who don't know Lawrence, he runs a concrete coating business, running quite a few crews. So we'll get into some of those things. You're out of Tampa primarily, and then you guys have two new locations. So one in Palm Beach, and then the second one's in Jersey, right?
South Jersey, yeah.
But awesome. So we'll be learning a little bit more about Lawrence. But I wanted to bring Lawrence on this training specifically because he's currently doing it, right? We spend millions of dollars in advertising. We do this for guys like Lawrence, and we're super honored to have people on our corner like Lawrence. And Lawrence, you're currently doing this. You're currently selling hundreds of floors, and really we just want to help the community understand more about how you're doing it. And we have a little bit of a framework about what we'll go over today. What you're going to learn by the end of the training today is you'll learn a little bit more about the sales process that seven-figure companies are using. You're going to learn how to grow a successful coating business. You're going to learn some of the systems that you'll need to put in place, right? And you'll come off of this training with a plan of action on how to do it as well. Okay. For ourselves, just real quickly, we've spent over $10 million in ads. So it's obviously not our first rodeo in terms of the marketing side. This is what drives the appointments. So if you're, a coating business listening, obviously you're going to run ads, you're going to run marketing, you're going to get appointments. And then from the appointments, you're going to want to follow the sales process that we're outlining today. Sales doesn't need to be rocket science. Lawrence, you come from what's your background? Tell the viewers here, what's your background coming into the coating business and all of that?
So backgrounds in car sales, automotive sales and management. But ultimately, you're like what you said, you're right. Sales is not rocket science, right? Whether it's coatings or any kind of home service business, the key factors to sales and the processes are very, very similar.
Yeah. And what prompts you to get into floor coatings?
I thought it was pretty cool. Listen, you're transforming people's garages. You're making them look beautiful. You see the beginning result, the before result, and needless to say, it's something that could be scaled up, as well as something that you're adding value to people's houses, and you're doing something good. People like the end result, end product. You're contributing to someone's home.
Yeah. And, something I have on here, obviously I put this slide, is sales doesn't have to be rocket science, there's really just a process that you'll want to follow when you're doing these sales appointments and pitching your coatings and things like that. Now, you're big on a lot of people are doing the same thing. Everybody's doing, they're all saying the same thing. They're all, everybody's using similar products, I imagine. Just off the top of your head here, when you go about your sales, obviously we'll get into some of the specifics here, but when you go about sales, you have, let's say 3 or 4 sales estimates today to go to, what is your preparation? What are you doing? Just in a kind of a nutshell before we get into some of the specifics.
So a lot of times, people always think that when it comes to selling somebody on it, you have to be technical, right? And really get into the details of what it is. And at the end of the day, that's not really the case, right? It's more of an ecosystem to reassure the customer that you're the right company to hire, right? That if they're hiring you, you're going to have a great experience, that, you are the reason you are the company that's going to make sure that it's done right. Ultimately, people get multiple quotes for many reasons. And you want to pinpoint each one of those reasons and not give them an option of you not being that company, right? So finding, solutions for problems, and ultimately keeping it simple. That's really what sells.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess one of the biggest things as well is like, people buy on price, right? That's just human nature. Like, what's the price? You walk in Walmart, what's the price of this? And like, how do you get people to steer away from price to more like value, experience, and warranty? What does that
Right.
process look like for you?
So, I mean, it starts off with, building trust, right? Creating trust from, having a great social presence online, right? Sending them, text and giving them a call when, you're on the way for that quote, making sure that they have a seamless process from the very beginning to show that, hey, listen, I contacted the company, somebody called me right away, right? They called me right away, they reached out and booked an appointment. When you're on the way, you send a reminder text. You let them know that you're on the way. And you build up from the very beginning. That way, when you actually get to that quote, right, it's the tip of the iceberg, right? It's the easiest thing to do is to actually close that deal rather than work hard, and build up that trust while you're at the quote. And you do that all before. So that transitions, a strong foundation of the sale transitions into an easy presentation.
Yeah. Okay, good. And obviously it starts with understanding your market a little bit, right? Like, one of the things that, I'm not sure if you recommend this, but one of the things that we recommend is just like, if you're starting out in a market, maybe get a quote from some of the bigger competitors, and, obviously thinking that you're a bigger company, like, why would I want to waste my time doing that? But like, that's just the reality. Like, you want to see what other people are doing, right? Not to copy them, but to be able to see like, what does a proven model look like, right? And the riches are in the niches. So I think, Lawrence, like, you guys have quite a few trailers now, but like, you guys are focused on residential, garage, flakes. Like, you guys will
Correct.
do other stuff as well, but why is it important to focus on just one niche of the niche?
Because it's easy to sell that way. You can scale easier. It's something that could be replicated and duplicated. Something that you can really do the same, master perfect every single time, have the same answer every single time, have the same process every single time. You keep what you need in stock, right? Order what you need in stock. You have buy stuff in bulk. But ultimately, the selling process is the same, right? When you master and perfect that selling process and dial in your systems and processes, ultimately, that niche becomes scalable, right? You can grow it. You can add fuel to the fire of marketing dollars and get more jobs.
Yeah.
But that's the key.
Yeah. We tell people that all the time is like, you should focus on one or two things in your business rather than trying to do everything. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the bigger businesses that we see, that's just what they do. And so if you're listening here and you're trying to be a jack of all trades, you're trying to do metallics, you're trying to do flakes, you're trying to do all of the other stuff under the sun, just focus on one or two things, just like what Lawrence said here. And that'll help you stand out from your competition, because now when you go to an estimate, you could tell them, hey, look, we're the garage floor coatings king. Like, we're the best that does it in this area. And here's why. We've done over 1,000 garage floors, blah, 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 blah. Right. And there's just comes with a sense of like confidence and credibility when you're able to say stuff like that. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
People.
what were you going to say?
So when people reach out to, and one of those biggest selling points is, hey, listen, when you go to someone's garage floor house for a quote, you're selling on the fact that that is what you do, right? So if somebody wants to go to a doctor, they have a heart problem, they're not going to go to your regular doctor, they're going to go to a cardiovascular doctor. So kind of same concept there.
Yeah, no, totally. And the other thing is, like, when you're selling, you're going to want to identify your target market. So you're going to look at the demographics, the psychographics, and the geographic area of that. What are you guys doing from a marketing sales standpoint? Like, are you studying this far into your ideal customer, or tell the audience a little bit about that?
We do. I mean, we more or less qualify that, the customer is looking for what we offer, right? One of the things is identifying, they're looking for a flake floor system or are they looking for a concrete overlay, right? If they're looking for something that we don't offer, then generally we wouldn't qualify that as a lead that we would want to go out for a quote. As long as they own the house, it's their house. They have the authority to make that decision, right, on the home.
Yeah.
They are looking for something to enhance the value of their house, and they're located in an area that can be coated, right? Qualifies for a garage floor coating. They're a qualified customer. It's someone that wants your product, someone that can buy it, can afford it, and somebody that wants it.
Yeah. And here's what we were talking about earlier is like people are going to say, I just want a ballpark estimate. Like, get me a quote. I want to know the price. What does it cost for, my 2-car garage, right? Because you're going to have a lot of leads that probably reach out and say that, right? What are you telling those type of people? Like, do you guys have a script, or what kind of process do you follow after
Yeah.
that?
So when we get in touch with the lead at first, right? When we have that first conversation with them, we have that first call with our, CSR. 90% of customers say, yeah, I'm looking for a quote, right? The rebuttal to that is absolutely, we're going to make that work for you. We're going to schedule a quote. We're going to come out and test the concrete, test the condition of it. What you're doing on that first call when they say, I want a ballpark, is you're asking them questions and you're leaving price out of it, right? You're asking them questions like, oh, what part of town are you in? Where are you located, right? And to them, they are answering these questions, and all you're doing is qualifying them to make sure that there's someone that we can set an appointment for. And after that, we sell the actual appointment. Awesome, cool. We're going to come out and we're going to get you that quote that you're looking for. Well, I just want a ballpark. Always try and get your way from that ballpark by letting them know that that's only going to hurt them, right? Last thing we want to do is tell you a price and it's higher than what it is, and we come out and it ends up being lower, or vice versa, right? It's not fair to you. It's not fair to us. If this is something that you're interested in, we would love to come out, show you some color options. What you're trying to do is sell them on the appointment and show them the benefit and the value of that appointment. They get to choose their own color. They get to see what their garage is going to look like. We're going to test the concrete to make sure that we have the exact condition of it. We're going to test for cracks, divots. We're going to test the moisture levels, right? So when somebody else is giving them a ballpark, right, and you're asking the questions, it automatically builds the trust that how can somebody else give them a ballpark over the phone when they don't even know the questions that you're asking them. So it goes a long way.
Yeah. So you want to start out by saying, hey, Mr. Customer, absolutely, we can definitely get you a quote. And then you're basically reviewing the conversation to like, tell me about your project. Like, we don't know much about it yet. So tell me about the condition of your concrete. Tell me about what kind of coating are you looking for? And then by the end of that, you're going to explain to them our process kind of works like this. We'll come out there, we'll get a design consultant to look at your floor. We'll do a test on the floor, and we'll see if this is something that we could help you out with.
Absolutely.
I like that. That's a good way of going about it. And there's really a 6-step process here, right? There's building rapport, project walkthrough, needs assessment, present the product, handle objections, and close the deal. So like if we were to go through some of these, the first one is obviously building rapport. When you're doing a sales estimate, you're obviously going to want to build rapport, right? And some of the things I outlined here is like one of the open-ended questions you want to ask open-ended questions, right? You want to encourage dialogue by asking questions, not just yes or no questions, but like opening it up to where, maybe you're talking about their Harley in their driveway. Like, how did you get into that, right? What are some of the things that you'd recommend when you're doing a sales estimate? Like, what are some building rapport conversations you talk about?
That's a good point, Marco. Basically, what you're getting to is, hey, we got to break that ice with them, right? It's not just, hey, come in and let's just talk about your floor. It's more or less, oh, hey, cool. You see a flag in their garage. Oh, where are you from? Oh, that's an Ohio State flag, or is that a football team flag, right? Or they have a nice car in their garage, and you're asking them, oh, what made you get this car? You're looking for something to connect over, right? So that remember, when you're walking into a customer's house, and as a salesperson, they already have their hands in the air, right? They're already having a guard up, and what you're doing is you're breaking that guard down, right? You're breaking that ice, and you're going over something that has nothing to do with the floor, right? Ask them questions of like, hey, that Harley, when'd you get that? Nice. What made you get that? Right. You're right. Like something that they can't say yes or no, and more of tell you a story about it. Right. And that leads to the conversation of, why they want to get the floor done. Right. Instead of selling, ask them questions. Tell me about your story. Hey, looks like you reached out to us. How did you hear about us? Oh, I saw you guys on Facebook. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, cool. Well, tell me about your story. What makes you want to get your floor done? Then the customer all of a sudden will transition into telling you some ideas of what they don't like or they do like. I'm tired of looking at this ugly concrete floor. I was going to do it myself, but I hear that DIY kits peel and chip. Less more conversation about the floor, more conversations about experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that kind of brings you to the next one, which is you're going to want to do a walkthrough. Instead of the customer directing you, there's the back patio or there's the garage, you want to do a walkthrough with the customer in the garage. That way they can show you why they called you out there, right?
Sure.
And you can say things like, what prompts you to have us come out here today? Why are you looking at getting this floor done? Those type of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can start pinpointing stuff. If you're going to their back patio, you can show them, hey, listen, hey, are you looking, obviously you sit out here and you enjoy, looks like you have a table, outdoor patio furniture. What are you looking to do? You looking to spend more time out here? Ask them questions, right? And then engage in certain things of a walkthrough. Oh, I'm looking for a color that's going to look beautiful. Well, here's some color options. Let's take a look and see what your floor would actually look like with that patio table, with that barbecue grill. And that's where you transition into a walkthrough and showing them and letting them actually feel some samples and see the product, right? And now you're in the actual sales process, right? Rather than selling them on the idea of it, because the floor sells itself, right, Marco? I mean, everyone who wouldn't want concrete coating. So now they're already sold on it, right? Now you're just getting them to envision the experience of it, right? And any of these point in times, Marco, we're not talking about the products. We're not talking about the actual products and the chemistry of it and what it's going to do and everything and all that. We're just keeping it simple.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that'll start. I mean, you can start taking notes at this point, right? Where it's like, this is why the customer is getting this done. They want to have extra square footage. They want to be able to walk in their garage bare feet, not have to worry about it, right? And that kind of drives into the next one, which is number 3 here in the cell system, which is your needs assessment. I don't know specifically, Lawrence, if you guys have like a sheet you follow specifically, but like what's super important here is like just understanding that there's reasons why the customer called you out, right? The customer wants you to do their floor, and maybe it's for, they like to, they like to, they're a mechanic. They do things in their garage. They want to clean up their floor easily, right? Maybe there's cracks. What are some of the things, Lawrence, you see that are the needs? Because a lot of people mistake this. Like concrete coating, yes, it is a want. Like this is more of a want than it is a need. But when you're selling the floor, you want to make it look like a need, right? Yeah. You want to make it look like this is something they need to get done right now. So what are some of the things that you guys do here?
Well, for example, let's start off new construction homes, right? Obviously, somebody needs to get this done before they move stuff in. Why? Because it's a lot harder to move stuff out. And that's an easy selling point, right? Hey, last thing you want to do is move everything in, then get your floor done afterwards, have to move everything back out and move everything in a second time, right? So you need to get this done before you do anything else, before you start bringing stuff in, before you move into the house, right? If somebody wants to sell their house, a lot of times people want to get this done before they sell their house. What's the selling point, Marco? It's, hey, it's simple, right? Hey, when you go to list your house online, you put up pictures, you're going to get more buyers in here, and it's going to add the value. You're going to get back the price of the floor and more on your return, just in real estate, right? Like if someone's motivation is to sell their home, right? It's all about what is their motivation. That's their needs assessment, right? If they're spending a lot of time with their pets out there, you don't know, maybe their pets are going to the bathroom out there. And these goes back to the questions you want to ask. Hey, listen, you need to get this done. You don't want, last thing you want is bacteria building up inside your concrete if your pet goes to the bathroom outside. Luckily, this is antimicrobial, right? You need it for health
Right.
reasons, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that is where you get their motivation. The needs assessment is more of what is their motivation to get this done, and you throw that back right to the customer and find the
Yeah.
solution of the floor.
Yeah. 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 Because when you pair the needs and the struggles and the challenges with the solution, and then you say the price, that's where you ask for the sale, right? And we were interviewing Chuck Vokey. He sells all, or he's a sales trainer in the home service industry, and he was telling us that like you have to bring all of those pain points, you have to bring all of the needs to the surface. That way, there's a reason for them to actually buy, right? There has to be a reason, whether it's you're artificially creating something, or it's something that is super important that you have to ask questions to get out of them, right?
Right.
And what are some questions you would ask? I know you list out a couple there, but like, what's one question somebody should ask for sure when they're in this estimate to get some of those out?
Well, what makes you want to get your floor done? That's the most important, right? Like, tell me your story. What is it? What has us? What brings us out here today, right? What is the motivation? What is the goal of this coating, right? And by that, it's either going to be the look, the health, health issues, or the look of the floor, or what is it that they want from the floor.
Yeah, that's a good open-ended question, which will drive them into all of the reasons, right? And then you could use that as ammo to close the deal later. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, credibility goes a long way, right? Buyers, this graph here, I mean, buyer is willing to engage with an industry thought leader is 92%. So like, if you're just kind of the trusted figure, right, and you're the trusted contractor in your area through paid advertising, they see you on radio, they see you in the billboards, they see you in the magazines, they see you everywhere. It goes a long ways as well, I imagine, too. And Lawrence, you guys do like trade shows and stuff like that. I saw you guys do some trade shows, but what else are you guys doing to just kind of be everywhere and build that credibility?
Trade shows are a big thing. Wrap trucks, wrap trailers, right? Like sometimes for somebody to trust you and trust you as an industry leader in the market, you have to show social proof in many ways besides just digital marketing, right? Digital marketing is great and all, and it's going to give you the results if you have the right ecosystem in place, right? So they want to see that you have wrap trucks and trailers. They want to see that you show up branded. They want to see that you're at a trade show as well, right? So they want to see that you're heavily invested in that niche, right? Which automatically makes you the expert in the field and in the market, right? So the more times that they can go on your social media and they see pictures of, wow, they're on trade shows, wow, they got trucks and trailers, these guys must know what they're doing, right? It's almost a no-brainer of why do we have to get other quotes? What information do we not get, right? You're throwing absolutely everything at them. You want to have a YouTube channel. You want to have an Instagram, a Facebook. You want to have all of these things. You want to be on Angie's. You want to also be on Yelp. You want to be everywhere, right? You want to show up branded. They want to know that you're coming in with a wrap truck on the quote, right? So the more times you show your brand and impression in front of people, the more that they see, wow, they've been around. They're very serious about what they do.
Yeah, and just being the trusted advisor, from online to traditional, is just going to build a lot of credibility, and people are going to buy with a higher conversion rate from you, on that. Now, number 4 is presenting the product. So you've built rapport, you have a relationship going with this customer, you've understood their needs. You've done a project walkthrough with the customer. And now it kind of gets to number 4, which is presenting the product. A lot of people do this a little bit different. Some people use iPads and they're kind of scrolling through different slides of the product. Some people use literally like a trifold, right? Some people aren't using anything, which I don't recommend. But what are you guys doing just from a high level here when you're presenting a product and you're kind of showing them exactly what you do now?
So one, you want to have the samples, right? You want to have them feel, touch, and see the product, right? Once they feel, touch, and see the product, they can actually see the texture of it. They see what it is, right? And the second thing that you want to do is have them visualize it in their actual home. So we use an app called Flory. We actually take a picture of it. And what we do is we actually show the customer, hey, this is what your floor would look like based on this specific sample. So now you kill two birds with one stone. You showed them the product, right? Got them to feel it, see it, touch it. And now you're also getting them to visualize it and see it in their actual house, which, sells a lot more than, you telling them what it looks like. You really can't go wrong with that. They can choose any of your flake options and see exactly what it would look like.
Yeah. So the tool that you're seeing here up on the screen is Flory. Flory, I think it does this. Is this Flory or what option is this?
That's Flory. Yep.
Okay, good. So you'd recommend stuff like that to help the customer sort of visualize what their floor would look like, because you could upload a picture. I mean, you could put a picture in here and show them like with whatever color option they're liking. You kind of show them what it looks like.
Correct.
Yeah. And are you guys presenting things with iPads, or what is your guys' sort of presentation when you walk people through like the product you use, the base coat, the top coat, kind of like the solutions that you have? What do you guys walk them through?
So we pretty much just run through it really quick, and we kind of give the before you actually showing them the product and show them what it would look like, you're going back to say, hey, listen, you're building value in your process, 6-step process of what you do between start to end, grinding the floor, filling in the cracks or divots. What you're really doing here is you're setting expectations, right? You're letting them know, hey, we're going to be here between 8 to 9 a.m. It's going to take one day. Once that's done, you can walk on it 12 hours later, bringing everything back in 24, 48 hours to drive on it, right? So you're going over the timeline of the project, right? You're answering the questions that they probably have already, but you're answering it and at the same time going over the process and building the value in everything that you do in order to get their floor to look the way that they want, right? So you're building that foundation, and you're showing them the mastermind of the end result, right? You show them after everything and all said, this is what your floor is going to look like, and that's how it's going to benefit you. That's, before you actually give them the actual visual, hey, this is what your floor would look like, and you go over everything, and now they trust you. I mean, you're answering all the questions.
Yeah. And everybody's process is a little bit different, but just have something visual, like you're saying. So like for you guys, you have the visualizer. You got to kind of show them the floor and what it's going to look like. Some people have like slides, or you just kind of showing them, like the customer, that you're using grinders and you're using state-of-the-art vacuums, and you're not just acid etching the floors or making it, like you want to tell them that you're the real deal, and like this, you're using expensive equipment as well. Like this isn't the cheapest price. We're going to come in here and do it right the first time. That way, you don't got to do it again. And those are some of the things that you'll go over. Number 5 is overcoming objections. So, I put into ChatGPT here some of the common objections, but for yourself, because you're in the field. You see this all the time, right? What are some of the things that you guys see? Like, what's the number one biggest objection you would say for concrete coating businesses?
They want to talk to their spouse, right? Oh, this is awesome, but I'm going to talk to my husband or my wife. We're going to discuss it, and we're going to decide, afterwards. What they're really telling you is something is missing, right? Either they're not happy with the price, either they're not happy with the colors. There's something that's missing there, and a common solution to an objection like that is, hey, look, you folks, like, if you already talked to your husband or wife about doing this, first off, let's take a step back. You want to set the appointment, hoping and doing the best you can to make sure both decision makers are there, right? But if you're in the situation one of the decision makers is not there, ask them questions like, you already talked to your wife. I mean, husband and wife already talked about, hey, we're going to get this right. We're going to get a concrete coating done, right? So they already thought about it. And the solution to that is, hey, listen, what if you call your wife and husband, or call your spouse and let them know, hey, listen, I got an awesome deal on it and I can get it now. And they're offering a discount of 10% off, or whatever incentive is thrown at them. But really it's knocking all the questions out there, making sure that there's no other questions that are hanging besides price.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, you nailed it right on the head. Like most people, if they say they're not ready to move forward, usually it's because they don't see enough value. They don't see this thing fixing their problems right now. And, because I imagine most people, if you give them some sort of finance deal as well, like everybody has the money to do it, and so it's a matter of, or at least having that mentality, you're gonna try everything else possible, right? And what are some of the different ways to objection handle? Obviously, here on the slides we have, you want to ask the right questions to mitigate those objections in the first place. Like I'm sure midway through your presentation, if you said something like, "Hey, Lawrence, so far hearing from me, do you feel like I'm just gibbering here, or do you feel like this, polyspartic coating could help you out with your garage floor here?" And they'll tell you, they'll say, "Yeah, no, I can see value in this," or they'll say, "Oh no, I have a question on X, Y, Z." And you can start getting some of those objections out before. But what were we going to say there?
No, it's what you just said. Basically, you want to make sure and ask them. At first you want to agree with the customer. We say, hey, absolutely, I would think about it as well, right? Never fight the customer, because if you fight the customer, it's going to go south, right? You always want to agree with them and find a solution together with them, right? Like what you said is, hey, you mentioned that you'd like this, right? Like you mentioned that this is helpful for you. Throw back what they like to them and kind of use that as a motivational closing tool. That this floor is going to be the solution to why they called you in the first place.
Yeah. And if you're listening here or you're watching the replay, put in the comments some of the objections you guys are getting. We'll go through there and answer those individually. If I were to share my screen here, ChatGPT has one of the objections: the price is too high for what I'm getting, right? Let's disregard the response from now. But if somebody's saying the price is too high for what I'm getting, how would you go about that? And maybe, it's probably too late to handle some of these, right? Or it's like, okay, if you're already showing the price, maybe you didn't build enough value and maybe it's too late. But how do you typically handle that, just right off the top of your head?
Well, you want to, instead of discounting your price, you want to show them the danger of a lower price, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are they using for products? What is that experience like, right? How can somebody, if somebody afford to do it for so much less, right? The solution for what they want is the price is going to be a heavier price, but it's going to get them what they're looking for. You almost want to scare them of a lower price.
Okay. And so by doing that, I mean, you might, it depends on what you're selling, right? Like for you guys, I mean, you guys are selling 1-day garage coatings. So what are some of the things that you guys are, you don't want to bash on your competitors either, right? But you kind of want to phrase it where it's like, okay, well, what we do is X, Y, Z, right? Like you kind of want to reemphasize some of those points, right?
Yeah. And you just want to, throw back at them. Let's, hey, listen, obviously this is what we do. You don't have to sell on quality, because you already kind of sold yourself on quality by showing up on time and everything that they see, all the social proof, right? But it's more that, something cheap, right? If it was cheap, they wouldn't get what they want, right? You have to, show them that the value of them enjoying their garage floor, right, is far more than what the actual price is of the garage floor. So build a value in the experience, right? Let them know that, hey, listen, not getting this done, what's it like to your health of, getting bacteria stuck in your concrete, right? how much is your health worth, right? How much is you enjoying your garage floor and adding value worth to you, right? So it all starts going back to the basic questions that we asked in the very beginning of what makes them want to get that done. So using their own questions as their responses to objections.
Yeah. And some of these other objections you're going to get are really just questions, right? So maybe they might be skeptical on the durability of the product you have. And you'll just have to reemphasize the value that your product brings to the table, right?
Sure.
And some of the other stuff here, but maybe you'll get an objection where it's a scheduling objection, where it's like, we need to get this done by XYZ. We're moving into, our closing date is, September 10th. Can we get an install date September 11th? I'm sure you guys get stuff like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to add the value to, hey, listen, we can get you in after you close on your home and before you move in. So for a lot of people, that's worth value, right? You let them know, hey, listen, you don't have to worry about moving stuff out after. We'll get you in as soon as you close. Making it easy, less overwhelming on the actual client customer, and more of, hey, this is the solution.
Right. Yeah. And the last thing is step 6, which is obviously you're going to close the deal. Lawrence, what is your one-liner sound like? Everybody's a little different when you kind of want to shut up and listen to the customer after you tell them the price, right? But what do you say exactly at that moment in the sales presentation?
Look, everything worked out for you. Obviously, you want to get the floor done. We have the color that you're looking for, right? What can we do to make it work for you and get you on the schedule and get you to enjoy the home and the floor that you're looking for? Kind of straightforward question, and they'll tell you. People usually will tell you, hey, if you can get me in next week, that will work, right? If you can save me an extra $250, that will work, right? What does it take for you to be happy with your floor?
Yeah. Are you usually bringing up install and when their timeline is, like during that sales process, or does that usually come up after?
That's part of the questions that you're asking, right? So that you can kind of gauge a better idea, right? One of the questions is, hey, how soon were you looking to get that done, right? It's a soft, open-ended closing question, soft close question. If they say, hey, next week, that's your selling point. If they say I'm in no rush, right? Then that's your selling point. Hey, we can get you on the schedule. At least if you leave a deposit right now, we can schedule you out. I know you said you're not in a rush, but we can get you in for, in a month from now, right? So it gives you time, right? Time to get everything out and properly clean out your garage. Or vice versa. Hey, how soon are you looking to get this done, right? They say, hey, I want to get it done ASAP. We can get you in ASAP. Whatever the customer's motivation is.
Yeah, that's usually what's going to get them to move their feet on it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I have a question for you just off the top of my head here is what, how long are these sales estimates usually for your sales reps and for yourself? How long are these sales calls?
It depends. I would say no more between 20 to 40 minutes, right? If you're going over 40 minutes, now it's a little bit too long, you're running out of stuff to kind of talk about. You might bore them and they might have to do something. Less than 20 minutes, you're not building enough value, right? So 30 minutes is really the punchline. That's your magic number there.
Yeah. You want it to be long enough where there's enough value being built, but you don't want it too long where people are starting to kind of twiddle their fingers.
Correct.
Getting a little bored with the presentation too. It doesn't take that long to talk about some of these things, right?
Right.
And so one of the other questions one of the people had here was your sales estimates. Where are you getting majority of your sales estimates from right now?
Facebook, right? Facebook is, pretty much 70%, 70, 80%. But, taking those Facebook leads and selling the appointment, converting that into a quote. And then it's our job, a good agency, what a marketing agency responsibility is to get you those leads, right? Is providing those leads. And our job is to close them. And everybody does their part. And as long as everybody does their part, it's pretty, pretty on the right point, on the right path to make sure it's right.
Yeah. And then your close rate, is your close rate going to differ based on where the lead came from? So like, Google ad leads, Facebook ad leads, referrals, like what does your close rate look like for these different types of leads?
That's a great question. Obviously, your highest close is going to be a referral, right? Because they're already trusting somebody that got it done, and they had a great experience with you. Otherwise, they wouldn't recommend you. So those are
Right.
those are always going to be a very, very high close ratio. You can safely say between 70 to 80% on referrals. Google ads are great, right? I mean, Google ads, you should probably be closing, maybe half of those, right? Half of the Google ads appointments, right?
Right.
Your lower ones are going to be your Facebook ones. Facebook, you should probably close about, I'd say 30 to 40% of your appointments. Not everyone's always
Yeah.
going to go for it, but that's kind
That,
of what.
yeah. That's what we tell people is 35% on Facebook. And, it's every platform will be a little bit different. It's got its nuances and, customers at a different stage often, right? If it's a referral, of course, you're going to close at a higher rate than if it's a Facebook or Google lead, internet leads. And a lot of people, before we kind of in closing here, a lot of people are struggling nowadays with just pricing. Everybody's trying to, kind of race to the bottom. There's a lot of contractors charging $3, $4 a square foot. There's hundreds of contractors running ads nowadays. And it's kind of getting like a little bit of a bloodbath out there, and from a marketing and sales standpoint, you just have to be the best. Like there's no more room for slipping. There's no more room for slipping on these things. And Lawrence, have you noticed, like you started this business a few years ago or a couple years ago now. Um, do you notice it getting more difficult now? Your strategies are evolving. Tell the audience a little bit more about that.
So, everyone's always going to say their market sucks or their market's hard, right? At the end of the day, it's very competitive, right? And you have to evolve with the market, right? The market's a lower demand. You got to figure out how to be the best in your market, right?
Okay.
If you're in this niche, you got to figure out how to niche this section of it and make sure that if somebody wants a concrete coating, they are choosing you, right? They're not going to choose a painter that does concrete coatings. They're going to choose a concrete coating company. And you have to have your image so that the customer has no reason to doubt that you're the best company for the job.
Right. And that just goes back to like building credibility, using the best grinders, using the best vacuum, having the best training. I mean, you guys are Cimarron certified installers as well. So like that's a big deal. I imagine you guys are pitching that when you're in the home, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is that specifically, the Cimarron installers all about?
Just means we're basically backed up by the manufacturer, right? The manufacturer trusts us and the manufacturer backs their name behind us to make sure that the coating comes out right? That means that we use great quality products. We've installed hundreds of thousands of square feet in order to be labeled as a manufacturer certified installer. That means when somebody calls the manufacturer and says, hey, I'm looking for a great installer in the area, your name gets thrown out there, right? Why? Because they know and the manufacturer trusts you that the customer is going to get taken care of.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening here and you're working with whatever, supply or manufacturing company, see if they have something like that, or maybe even take a look at Cimarron. That's an option. Not everybody can become Cimarron certified. I imagine there's a process I'm sure you got to go through. But at the end of the day, those little things are the things that help. It's what builds credibility. It's what builds your brand up. And in closing here, Lawrence, is there anything else you'd like to let the audience know? Obviously, concrete coating businesses, in this community, they're looking to grow and scale. Most people are out 1 to 2 crews. If they're trying to get to that next level, what, in closing, what would you leave them here with today?
Always have a solution, right? Have a solution to, your typical objections, right? Ask for those sales, right? Spend those marketing dollars. Invest heavily in your presence, right? Invest in the ecosystem of your business, which is the foundation of it. Once you have that ecosystem of your business, between everything looking clean, everything looking matched, everything looking professional, right? You can then scale to any kind of level, and have the right people. Make sure that you're holding up to your trainings properly. Make sure that everyone's doing everything the same way, replicate it, duplicate it every single time.
Yeah, that way it's done the same way every single time, and it's scalable. It just goes
Yep.
back to working in the niche, staying in the niche, sticking to what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
But awesome, guys. Well, super honored to have Lawrence on here. And if you guys have questions, definitely leave them in the comment section below. Lawrence and myself will take a look at those as the next week goes on here, and we'll get your guys' questions answered. If you're listening and you haven't joined the Facebook group, definitely join the free Facebook group. It's called the Concrete Coating Owners Facebook group. You go to CoatingLaunch.com/group to join that. And that's where you'll learn a lot of the secrets and strategies that the 7-figure concrete coating businesses are using to grow and scale their businesses this year. And it's really a community, community where you can ask questions and network with other people. Again, it's free. Just go to CoatingLaunch.com/group. Anyways, for those wondering if they can connect with you, Lawrence, is there a good place they could connect with you, whether it's Facebook or your website or something like that?
Absolutely. Just message me on Facebook directly, really easy, and always willing to help, and anyone and anyone.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot for having me here, Marco. It's awesome to be here, and really glad to be able to be part of this.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys on the next one.